Then let's take a look at our teeth. As we established when we were studying bone, teeth, which are bone, are held in little depressions in the maxilla and mandible called alveoli. This is the socket for the tooth. And teeth, as we addressed when we were mentioning our joints last semester, are going to be held in place by periodontal ligaments, which form a fibrous joint. So as we look at our tooth here, these little white lines that join the dentin, the bony part of the tooth, to the alveolus, this big deep depression in either the maxilla or the mandible. This is bone over here. So the depression in the bone would be a joint, two bones connecting together, and these little periodontal ligaments, these little white lines between the tooth and the alveolus, hold the tooth in place in the maxilla or the mandible. Then we have a look at different kinds of teeth that we have through our lifespan. As children, we have 20 what we call deciduous or milk teeth, and this shows the different kinds of teeth that we have as youngsters. Then if we look just beside that, we have our adult dentition, or what's known as our permanent teeth. We typically develop as humans 20 deciduous teeth, and we develop 32 permanent teeth. So let's look at the different tooth types, and you will be able to see that with our, let's see if we can get it to recognize we want to go back here. There we go. Our look at dentition. So we have each tooth type listed here. We're going to start with the incisors. These are our 4 front teeth on upper and lower dentition. So on the top teeth and the bottom teeth, the front 4 are incisors. These are for nipping and biting. If we look at other animals, they are very prominent on animals like beavers and mice that nip and bite things to acquire their food. Humans have rather reserved incisors. Ours aren't as prominent as those in a beaver, for instance, but we do have these front 4 teeth. These are all incisors. And I'm just going to do them like a single dash, like number 1's on the bottom, because the teeth down there are a little bit smaller. So those are incisors, the front 4 teeth, top and bottom. Then off to the side of those, there is a canine tooth on either side of the incisors. And I'm just going to encircle the canines for ease of location. Canines are usually in most animals very prominent, very pointed teeth. Now in humans, they have lost a lot of their pointiness because the reason for canines is they are for ripping and tearing meat. Obviously, as humans, for the most part worldwide, we have transitioned from ripping and tearing meat with our teeth to utilizing utensils. We use forks and knives for that purpose. So we don't have the need for sharp canine teeth like a cat or a dog might, a wolf. You see those sharp pointed teeth in those animals that would chase their own food and then need to acquire the nutrients from it. Then posterior to the canines, we have a pair of premolars. Premolars are teeth that are square and somewhat flat on the top. So these are the premolars, these 2 teeth here, as well as these 2 teeth over here. And that would be true top and bottom. So these are premolars, as are those. And then posterior to the premolars, we have molars. And we have 3 on each side. And that would be, of course, true on top and on bottom. Molars, like premolars, are square teeth. They are somewhat flat on top. And both premolars and molars have the same function. So we'll collectively put them together and say that they are for grinding vegetation. So the premolars are the two beside the canine on both sides. And the molars are the three at the back. And I'm going to put one little caveat. If all form. So if we go back a moment and look at our molars, let me address one component of molars. So these posterior-most molars are known as wisdom teeth. So let me get rid of a little bit on the molars back here so that we can see this a little more easily. So if we look at, I'm going to make these little rascals red. There we go. So here is the set of all four wisdom teeth, as they are called. Some individuals do not make these teeth. They do not have them. They are not up in their jaw. They are not present whatsoever. Many of us would say those people are very lucky. Others of us are blessed with all four. So we get all four of these teeth known as wisdom teeth. And for those of us who have had the pleasure of having any orthodontics done for teeth straightening, we usually also have the pleasure of having these removed. And so these wisdom teeth, whether or not they're causing any problem, if someone has had orthodontic work, usually your orthodontist will suggest they be removed for the purpose of not crowding your teeth that you have spent such a time and obviously funding as well, getting your teeth straightened. So we'll just take those out before they cause any problem. Others, whether orthodontic work is done or not, have pain with wisdom teeth when they come in. They crowd the mouth too much and they must be removed for pain relief. For whatever reason, oftentimes these posterior-most molars, these wisdom teeth as we call them, are removed. So in that case, a person would only have 28 adult teeth because a few may have been removed or they may not ever or be produced. In some individuals, wisdom teeth are not a concern at all. All right, let's take a quick look at a little bit of tooth anatomy. So we have, for what we're going to look at, basically two parts to our tooth. We have the portion that you can see that sits above the gum line, and it is a portion covered by this white substance called enamel. Much more easily seen up here than my attempt to write that on the enamel itself. And that covers a little bit of bony dentin just underneath at the crown's base. Then the portion of the tooth that extends down into the gum and deeper, that is known as the root. And that was supposed to come up yellow. Let's try that again. There we go. So this is the root portion, of the tooth, inside the yellow line there, and it's mainly dentin, this portion on the outer edge, which is bone, with blood vessels and nerves inside called the root itself, or the pulp cavity of the root, and that is the structure of a single tooth. Let's come back and take a look at our salivary glands still remaining in the oral cavity.